Hey, it's John McCabe. Welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to the John A. McCabe Show, where it's all about accelerating your authority in your business or field of expertise. And we do that by helping entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed on any device, anywhere, anytime, as little as 15 hours. Also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now on today's show, The Entrepreneur's Journey, my guest is someone I met in San Diego at a Publish and Profit event years ago, where we learned how to help others become #1 best-selling authors, as well as build their business around a book and their book around their business. Not only has my guest used this strategy to help himself become a 6-time #1 best-selling author, but he's also helped his 9-year-old daughter, Phoenix, become a 3-time #1 best-selling author. Now this Friday, she's launching 2 more books at the same time and is set to have a red carpet movie premiere of the movie Kitty Wars, The Revenge of the Ninja Kitties, which I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more about during this hour. Now my guest is Trevor Crane. He's a 6-time #1 best-selling author and the founder of Bestseller Big Business. He works with speakers, coaches, consultants who have a challenge of getting booked to speak, getting consistent leads, and getting high-paying clients. Now, Trevor helps them create a book and a business behind them that gets them everything that they want. Now, Trevor's also a publisher, an author, a speaker who's dedicated to helping others take their life and their business to the next level. He helps entrepreneurs around the world redesign their business so they can have the time, the money, and the freedom that they deserve without doing the stuff that really sucks. Now he has a special passion for helping service-based businesses, consultants, coaches, authors, and speakers take their businesses to the next level, no matter how successful they are already. Now Trevor's currently rolling out a 90-day video series called Blank Page to Bestseller, where he puts out a video each day to educate and inspire entrepreneurs, authors, experts, and speakers to start writing their book and make it a bestseller within 90 days. Not only does Trevor get into the aspects of writing the book, but he big pictures it for the viewer by helping them understand how the book will help with their business and how they can build a business around their book. And I consider a true entrepreneur to be someone you just can't keep down, regardless of the challenges, hurdles, and setbacks. They get right back up, learning from their mistakes. They move forward into another venture. They refuse to quit and be defeated. It's not in their DNA, and that is Trevor Crane. Now, Trevor's definitely that true entrepreneur, making millions in 3 separate businesses that he started from scratch in the industries of marketing, tourism, and environmental protection. But then he lost everything, not once, but twice. The most painful was when he filed $2.2 million bankruptcy, which he doesn't recommend to anyone, by the way. But it actually ended up being one of the greatest gifts of his life. And during this hour, we'll find out exactly why that is. Now, he also believes that you're not defined by your failures or your successes, and it isn't where you start in life that matters, but what you do with the time that you have on earth and the contribution you give to others, that's really the most important thing. So be sure to stick around, because when I come back, we're going to be hearing from my good friend and colleague, Trevor Crane, about his entrepreneur's journey. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Today is Entrepreneur's Journey, where we hear from an entrepreneur about their journey into entrepreneurship. These journeys are usually like roller coasters, filled with ups and downs, twists and turns, and sometimes they even get derailed. That's exactly what we have for you on today's show. My guest today is a true entrepreneur who's been riding the entrepreneur roller coaster for a long time now. He's been derailed twice. He lost millions both times and even had to file bankruptcy. So to say his journey is anything but smooth is an understatement. But in the true entrepreneurial fashion, he got up, dusted himself off, and just got back on and ready to take the next chapter of his entrepreneur journey head on. Now, Trevor Crane is a 6-time #1 best-selling author, the founder of Bestseller Big Business. He's also a publisher and speaker who is dedicated to helping his clients with their life and their business and taking their business to the next level. Now, he works with speakers, coaches, and consultants who have the challenge of getting clients, getting consistent leads, and getting booked to speak. Now, Trevor helps him with creating books and getting a business behind them that gives them everything that they want, while redesigning their business so that they can have the time, the money, and the freedom that they deserve without doing all this stuff that really, really sucks. And I can relate to that. So please give it up with some likes, some loves, shares, share this video, a flurry of thumbs up and heart icons going across the screen for my guest today, Trevor Crane. Hi, Trevor. How you doing?
I'm great. It's a pleasure to be here,
Great.
I can't wait.
It's great to have you, Trevor. So you're in New Jersey right now. Is that correct?
I am, and the weather's perfect right now, in my opinion, before it starts to get too cold. Yes.
And you guys aren't affected by the hurricane that's going on the East Coast right now?
Fortunately, that hasn't given us any challenges.
Excellent. I know my parents live in Nova Scotia, which is just slightly north and east of you, and where they live, they're getting bombarded. There's a lot of flooding. There's a lot of power outages, things like that. But fortunately, you guys aren't affected this time. Not like the last time there was a big storm on the East Coast. You guys were devastated. But first thing I want to do, Trevor, before we get too far into the interview is it's called a speed round of questions. It's just so that people get to know a little bit more about you. There's nothing that you have to study for. You're not going to be graded on this. It's just a speed round of 10 questions so the viewers actually get to know you just a little bit more. What I'd like everybody to do is just play along and just enter into the comments as I'm asking the questions. Just leave your answers as to what you have specifically for that question. And what we'll do is we'll just take a look to see what answers everyone came up with. So are you all set, Trevor?
I'm good to go. Let's hit it.
All right. So name the book that impacted your life the most.
I think everybody would I've heard it said a lot that it's Think and Grow Rich, but I read two books when I was younger. One was called The Celestine Prophecy.
I read that one as
and
well.
Another one is The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And I think those were some of my first two self-help books, and that really, I was surprised I read from beginning to end. So that was, I was very surprised.
Excellent. So when you were a young boy, who was your celebrity crush?
My celebrity crush. I thought about this a little bit. I used to have, as a teenage boy, I had a whole bunch of posters of girls up on my walls. So it was really anybody in a bikini. Yeah. But when I went to Australia on a world trip, I was in my 20s, and I was convinced I was going to bump into Elle Macpherson, and we were going to, even though she's a little bit taller than I am, I knew we had a connection. It didn't happen, but it was probably this close. I know it was just so close.
Exactly. Name either a book or a podcast or a show that you're into right now.
Okay, so I'm working on a lot of them now. I just got Grant Cardone's Be Obsessed or Be Average arrived in the mail yesterday. But I'm working on a lot of different books. So I've got The Power of Habit. I've been looking at .com Secrets, The Millionaire Messenger. I got books all around me, John, so I have props.
There's not one specific one that you're focused on right now?
God, you know what? I actually literally was reading all of these this morning. So I'll tell you what, the one that is the newest for me is Be Obsessed or Be Average, and I can't tell you enough. I don't know enough about it because I literally just decided that's the new book I'm going to be reading.
So are you currently working with any coaches, Trevor?
I have several different mastermind groups that I'm part of, so I get my coaching through there. Okay. But I've been thinking about a new physical fitness coach. Probably in the next 6 months or so, I'll start with a new coach. And I have a couple of, actually that's not true, I have two consultants that I work with that are helping me with our online marketing. Okay. What's your favorite movie of all time? It's a cross between Dumb and Dumber, which gives you my state of mind, or Stripes. I think it's probably Stripes with Bill Murray from way back in the 80s. That's probably my all-time favorite. Yeah, it's a hilarious movie. You answered my next question, which was, are you involved in any masterminds? You said you're involved in a few. So name the person, either dead or alive, who you'd most like to meet and have dinner with. The dead or alive question, it would have to be, you know what? I want to talk to JFK. Okay. I would think it would be pretty cool to talk to JFK or Martin Luther King and find out, they were such phenomenal leaders that I just think it'd be pretty cool to connect with them, and their power, I think, was so impressive. It'd be really awesome. No doubt. What's your favorite type of vacation, beach or adventure tour? Adventure tour. I had one of my companies was adventure tours, so definitely adventure. And what's the best business advice you ever received? keep your eye on the ball.
And the last question, which is a two-parter, is it water, beer, or wine, and pizza, wings, or salad?
You know what? It depends on the year. I would say water, beer, or wine. Right now, that would be water.
Okay.
In my 20s, there have been times it's been all of those, but now it would be water. And on the favorite food, I would have to go for wings right now, and that's because I've gone through this phase of being a vegetarian for so long, and now I'm eating meat again. So I'm like, give me some wings.
Exactly. Steak wasn't a choice, but it would probably steak too. But anything with meat in it. So everyone, give Trevor a round of applause. Hit the like button, the love buttons. Share this video. And what we're going to do, Trevor, just before we get started, is just going to give some shout-outs to the people that joined us. And see, Joey Ragona joined us. Anne Sen, I can never pronounce Anne's name. You probably know Anne from the group. Anne Filipino. Sorry, Anne, I am really sorry. I should actually learn your name because you're going to be a guest on my show next week. And we were in a mastermind with Anne last year. So Rachel Epp has joined us as well. Russ Tober, Rob Whitney has joined us, and Rachel says that Dumb and Dumber is definitely the best movie. So
nice.
So thanks everybody for joining us. And if you have any questions or comments, please type them in the chat. And what we'll do is we'll try to get to them throughout the show. If you have specific questions for Trevor or I, or if you just want to comment on anything that Trevor has to say or that I have to say, definitely leave it in the chat. Al Doran just joined us. Hey, Al. And we'll try to get to him throughout the show. But if you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Trevor Crane. He's a 2-time or a 6-time #1 best-selling author and the founder of Bestseller Big Business. He's also a publisher and speaker who is dedicated to helping his clients take their life and their business to the next level. Now, he works with speakers, coaches, and consultants who have a challenge of either getting booked to speak, getting consistent leads, or getting high-paying clients. Now, Trevor's helps them by helping them with their book and creating a business behind them that gives them everything that they want while redesigning their businesses so that they can have the time, the money, and the freedom that they deserve without doing all the stuff that really, really sucks. So, Trevor, just for the people who don't know you, who might be on this show, in 2 to 3 minutes, just give us sort of your origin story, where you started from. I know we're going to talk a lot about sort of your entrepreneur journey, but just give us a little bit about your origin story.
Okay. So I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm the son of a horseshoer. And when I grew up, I felt like our whole family, we were the poor kids. All my friends were the rich kids because everybody was richer than us. Our next door neighbor gave us more Christmas presents than my parents did. My stepdad was a roofer, and when I was really young, John, I heard a story. My great-grandfather passed away. I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and my great-great-grandfather had passed away, and I cried. I was all upset. I'd never met him, but I heard this story that he had been rich, and I was confused because we were not rich. Yeah. And so I came to find out that my great-great-great-grandfather had made to go back another generation, had made a ton of money. And way back when, our family had been rich, and somehow we lost it. And so I decided that with my father as a horseshoer, and money was a typical argument that was going on in our house, that I wanted to win back not win, I go to Vegas. I wanted to earn back the family fortune. So when I went to school, I didn't really love school all that much, but I didn't love my home life even more. So I stayed at school as much as possible. I got involved in all the sports. I wanted to do well in school, even though it was a challenge for me, because I thought the key was business. I needed to be in business. Everyone I knew that if you wanted to be rich, you had to be in business. So I studied hard. I tried hard in high school. And then when I went to college, I went to Arizona State. I went there on scholarship. Good for Trevor. Nice. Which was a challenge for my 3 brain cells working. But I went to school on scholarship. I studied business and marketing. And by the time I finished, I thought, get me the hell out of here. School did not, while I had a lot of fun, I played on the rugby team, I did a lot of cool things, I didn't see that school, I learned by my senior year that school was academic.
Right.
And I don't think I really understood that until I was finally a senior in college. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. And so I went out and I was so excited to start my own businesses. I've had successes. I've had more than my fair share of failures. But what I've found is that, anyway, I'll share with you what the secrets I've found to get ahead. But that's a little bit of my origin story and like a little bit of motivation, because I was in pain, John, being the poor kid where my mom made my clothes.
Oh, wow.
You know, and feeling embarrassed. It was probably I probably looked really cool. But,
a lot of that stuff.
I was embarrassed.
A lot of that stuff is really character building stuff that just sort of helped you in being the person that you are today. You know, from humble beginnings, and you know, you're probably a lot hungrier than a lot of people who maybe grew up in an upper middle class family, had things given to them. They didn't really know what it takes to actually work for a living, or to scrape and save, and to work really hard to get what it is that you actually want in life, as opposed to just getting it handed to you.
Yeah.
So can you share with us a little bit about your journey with regards to starting your first business? What was the business? How did it start? Who was involved? How long did it last? And what happened to it?
All right. So that's a good question, but I'm going to answer. I don't think I'm going to answer the question that you think. Okay. You did ask a question. My first business, I was 5 years old. I was either 4 or 5 years old, and my dad was going away for 2 weeks, and he said to me, Trevor, you got to be the man of the house and take care of your family. And so I decided I was going to start a business, and because that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was my decision. And I went to the backyard, and I found rocks, and I loved rocks. So I took these rocks, and I took them to my next door neighbor's house, and I tried to sell them rocks because I needed to support the family, and now I'm in the rock selling business. So there's a part of me that believes I created the pet rock.
Yeah.
I just didn't put googly eyes on it or any of that silly stuff. I don't think I was in business very long, John, but I did earn something that first day that I think is typically this no man's land for many entrepreneurs, and it is I made a profit. And
nice.
I got addicted to that, and I had when I was in high school or grade school, I decided to bring candy to school and start selling it. I bought a bag of Jolly Ranchers, and I sold them at $0.25 a piece or whatever it was, a nickel a piece so I could make a profit. So my whole life I've had businesses. My dad sat me down and said, Trevor, I'm going to teach you a trade, because if the world ever falls apart, there's going to be horses, and I'm going to teach you to become a horseshoer. So I was a horseshoer, and I said, this sucks, lifting 2,000-pound horses every day and standing underneath them and seeing all the pain and struggle that my dad went through with injuries. And my God, my dad is still a horseshoer today, and he still gets hurt by horses all the time. I was like, this is not my career path either. Although I can shoe a horse.
Well, share with us your first $1 million business. What was that? Okay. How did it start?
That's what I thought you wanted to know, but the other stuff is more fun. Okay, first $1 million business. I had a water sports company, and you asked the question about what was the most fun, whether I enjoy the beach or the adventure tours. That company was called Adventure Guides, and we took people out, and I had a parasail business. And that journey was, I was working at for Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. I grew up in Arizona, John, so I went and decided that I wanted to become a scuba instructor. So I traveled the world, became a scuba instructor, and then I was working in the Caribbean for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, and I wanted to start my own business. So I worked for Royal Caribbean for 2 years. I then decided to start my own water sports business, and in that first year of business, John, we had a lot of challenges. The first 2 weeks of business, I had somebody hit by lightning up in my parachute. Did you know that? I think I put it in a little comment. Yeah, oh my God. So I'm 2 weeks in business. I took all the money I had invested, and I had a business partner, or all the money I had saved. I borrowed money to buy this boat. Let's say it's a $100,000 boat. And within 2 weeks, we had 2 kids, a 19 and a 14-year-old, up in the parachute, struck by lightning. And I had to fish them out of that water and breathe life back into them. And John, they survived.
Nice.
But it was one of the scariest times of my life. I didn't care about the money at that moment. The only thing that I cared about was how I endangered these kids. And my partner quit after that. We were sued. The Coast Guard put us up against all kinds of liable that we were responsible for. What I'm very proud of during that time, John, was that my friend and I, my partner and I, saved those kids' lives. And honestly, I would have had my mom, my grandma, my daughter up in the parachute that day. I didn't know that lightning was going to strike. I mean, they tried to accuse us in court. You guys were dodging between lightning bolts, and that's not the case. The thing that was really scary was having someone's life depend on you. And literally, when we ran that water sports business, their life was dangling from a string, and we brought them back to life. We had to breathe life back into them. I remember the 14-year-old boy woke up on the back of the boat because both of them were not breathing when we fished him out of the water and put him back on the boat. We were giving him rescue breaths, and the 14-year-old boy woke up screaming, "I can't feel my legs." And then I was holding the hand of the 19-year-old girl who was longer to come back. It was really scary. We thought she had died. It was really, really scary. Yeah. And I held her hand, and she, I remember whispering to her that she was going to be okay. Like, I was the confidence rock. Yeah. And John, I felt like a liar because I had no frickin' idea whether or not she was going to be okay. So that was the beginning of that $1 million business. Was we got hit by lightning. Shortly thereafter, my partner quit. Let me tell back the lightning story for 1 second. One of the greatest things about that was within 24 hours, the husband, the mother and daughter of those kids hugged us and said, "Thank you for saving our kids' lives."
Nice.
And all the stuff that went on with court and Coast Guard all worked out where we weren't liable for having, killed these kids. Fortunately.
Yeah. So how long did you have that business after that sort of? And how did it end up? You end up sort of losing it, or did you lose it in the lawsuit?
Well, so when we went to court, we were in Coast Guard court, not in libel court. So which was fortunate. But my partner quit, and I had to buy him out. And that first year of business, we made $89,000 gross. And I had to go out and I had to cover a lot of expenses on that little amount of money.
Right.
And basically, John, I had to go get a job to support this business habit, like I was a freaking addict, I was on heroin or something. I had to go get a job. So for 6 months, I waited tables at night. I would shower on the beach. I'd run my boat all day. I'd shower on the beach. I'd run across the street and go wait tables until the wee hours of the morning. And after 6 months of feeling like I was going to die, I finally was like, I had to figure out how to crack this code. Like, I wasn't making that much money waiting tables. I thought if I could just find a way to make another $100 a day while I was out on my boat for these 8 hours, 10 hours, I'd be on my boat every day, that I wouldn't need to work this job. And it was at that point of stress when I was ready to lose everything. I went to the grocery store, and I took the last couple of bucks off of every card just to buy groceries. I'm like, $17 off of this one, $9 out. No, don't take 10. I only have 9 left. So it took about 2-3 years to turn that business around, and we got to the point where we started. I learned to sell. I learned to model success. And John, all my greatest creative ideas weren't what got me successful. I mean, I was pretty good, and every once in a while I have a great idea that will make money. But what helped us was I actually started copying and modeling success. I had a guy that I hired to come work on my boat for a few months from Hawaii, and they had been running a really successful multi-million-dollar water sports company. Lo and behold, I did what he said. We started making more money. Nice. And so I modeled success, and that's how we won. And I ran that business until I lost everything. That was took me about 7 years. 7 years, and then that one kind of failed. But it was awesome, and we had multiple locations, and I had adventure tours, scuba diving. We started branching out, and it was amazing, but it wasn't until I had gone through all that pain, and specifically that time, those 6 months, even getting hit by lightning, really wasn't the business the catalyst. It was the pain I had, John, that I wasn't getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
3 hours a night or whatever was killing me. And I finally was willing to learn to sell. I was so scared to sell. I don't know what it was. I couldn't package my things right. I couldn't price things right.
Yeah.
I was fighting things. And it was that pain that I finally was willing to go beyond what I thought was comfortable. Am I answering your question? I want to make sure I'm answering your question.
Yeah. The only piece that you've missed out is how'd you lose it all?
Oh God, John. So I would love to point the finger at other people and say that they were the reason that I failed.
Oh, it's not like the economy or.
No, I would
that.
love to say that, but that's crap. So I had a business partner where I had a contract for the bulk of my business, and he actually owned the contract and I didn't. And ultimately, I felt screwed because one day I was negotiating with him to get to run the whole business and take over his contract, and everything was going to go fine. We had been to the bank, and he was looking me in the eye and telling me, Trevor, this is going to be yours. You've got everything, and you're going to do great. Less than 5 days after we went to the bank together to talk about the loan where I'm taking over the business, he gave me a phone call right before our busiest season and said, I took somebody else is going to own the contract, and not only is he going to take the contract so you won't get the whole business, he's got your contract, so the bulk of your assets are gone. So I lost my contract. He's like, you have 28 days notice and you're done. Now I had just worked 6 months of the hardest season we'd ever had because it's a water sports business.
Yeah.
When the weather's bad, you didn't make money. No. And so we were just going into our spring season in Florida where I was going to make the bulk of my profit, and he said, you're fired. And I lost everything. Now, the fault there of my fault was that for years, John, I'd been working with this guy, and he would lie to me, and I would lie to him. That's was where I had to take responsibility for it. And he would say bullshit to me every day, and then I knew he was full of crap, but I just would give him bullshit back. And so we had this relationship where he'd lie to me and I'd lie to him. And I was really unhappy in that business because of that constant flack. Every single day he would make a phone call telling me some kind of bullshit, and then I would be doing the same thing back. And the truth is, I contributed to sabotaging that relationship through poor communication.
Exactly.
And that's really what it was. And overnight, I was toast.
Yeah, it can happen just that fast. So if you guys are just joining me, I'm being joined speaking with Trevor Crane. He's a 6-time #1 best-selling author, the founder of Bestseller Big Business. He's also a publisher and speaker who is dedicated to helping his clients take their life and their business to the next level. He works with speakers, coaches, and consultants who have the challenge of either getting booked to speak, getting consistent leads, or getting high-paying clients. And Trevor helps them create books and a business behind them that gives them everything that they want while redesigning their business so that they can have more time, more money, and more freedom that they actually deserve without doing all the stuff that really sucks. So if you're just joining us, please type in any questions you have for Trevor. Please like, share, give us some love. Share the video on your Facebook feed, and if you have any questions, we'll definitely get to them throughout the episode. And I just want to welcome Dwayne and Wendy to the show as well. So thanks. If you have any specific questions for Trevor, just let us know. So Trevor, so after that venture failed, you ended up starting a second business. So tell us a little bit about that business, maybe in a little bit less time frame than the last one.
Okay, you want a shorter answer here?
Just a little bit shorter answer. Yeah, you're burning up all your time here.
Okay, got it. So
and I want to talk about your daughter, what your daughter's doing. So don't waste all this time talking about you.
Don't waste all my time. All right.
No, so really, so you had a second business, and tell us a little bit about that, how it went, how it ended.
Okay. So that business, I felt a friend of mine started a street cleaning business, and I got excited because he had been in my industry but was working less hours and was making a better profit for his time. Okay. And so I said, hey brother, how do I do what you're doing? Because he was making 20 grand a month and he was working 20 hours a week. And wow. I was working a lot more than that. So I basically started working with him. I said, can you teach me to do this? And that's that secret, John, that I told you about, is that if you find somebody who's got the success you've got, that you want, go get their help. And that's so right. He showed me how to do it. And with my help, we started a new franchise. And at one point, that was supposed to be our business, and we were starting the franchise together. And it didn't end up that way. I ended up being his first franchisee. But as he learned to make 40 grand a month and 60 grand a month and 80 grand a month, I learned to just follow it right on his coattails. And so we turned that street cleaning company into an environmental protection company, and we just expanded our clientele. And I went from selling a $50 product that I needed to sell a lot of to make $1 million to having maybe a dozen clients, and they were all over $100,000 clients. Nice. And then I had fewer clients. We made a lot more profit. And I just love that. It was just that was the first gift into the high-paying client realm, is that I like the combination of both, quite frankly, but it was so great to have a dozen clients at high levels that I could make money with. And we just scaled that really quickly. It took us about 2.5 years to build that. And then if you want to hear about that, how that failed.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear about what happened with that one, because that one sounds like it's a great business. You know, you're making over $1 million a year and you're working, 20 hours a month? That sounds like a great business.
Well, I mean, come on. I worked harder than that, but that was what I bought. I bought the idea that I could work 20 hours a week.
Right.
But I do remember I took a trip, John, to Fiji. I went out of town for probably 6 weeks, and I came back and I'd still made a pile of money. My whole business was better than it was before I left. And I'd been in Fiji, Hawaii. I went to my dad's wedding. I thought I had it made. Yeah. And what ended up causing that business to fail again, and for years, John, this is what, when I filed my $2.2 million bankruptcy, it was on the back of this business. And for years, literally 2 years, I blamed the guy that I was in business with, the franchisor. And it took me a while to actually grow up enough to take responsibility for this one as well, is that we again had some poor communication. The truth was, about a year before I lost my business, he and I didn't start to see eye to eye, and I didn't like him anymore. Now, nothing had gone wrong. I just didn't like talking to him, hanging out with him, and so I just stopped communicating with him. Right. And I would only talk to him about business stuff. Our personal relationship kind of went south, and I just didn't have a lot of liking towards him or respect for him, and I just treated him as such. And so what happened is he thought that I was going to screw him, so instead he screwed me. So it was a poor communication thing on my side. I'm the one that initiated it, started it. Now, I didn't break the law or do anything like that. Right. That's what he did first to me, and then we got in a big legal battle. This one was big. For a couple of years we fought, and then I eventually lost everything. I had 25 employees at one stage, and I had to let them all go, and it was devastating. And I lost my houses, I lost my cars, I lost the woman I was in love with. She left the state and took our 2-year-old daughter. Wow. And that was a tough one. That was definitely not a fun one, even though I feel like I'm smiling now when I'm telling you this. I'm so happy not happy I had to go through it, but I'm happy where I am today, I guess. But
yeah, so there's a common theme in both of those situations, and one I'm sure that you've learned already is, plan for the divorce before you even start to date the business partner. Get yourself structured properly. Having separate lawyers, making sure that any split, because I've actually gone through this a couple times myself, not to that specific level, but I've learned it as well. And thankfully, my business partner in the real estate investing, he's actually coach and mentor of people right across North America, and he built one of the largest education companies in Canada for real estate investing. They're very much in tune with protecting your assets, just like all the wealthiest people in the world. It's not so much about protecting your assets, it's really about mitigating your risk. So it's really risk management. So, to the tune of controlling everything, but not having to own everything, but controlling it, having that control, but really getting yourself, before you enter into a partnership or an agreement with anybody, sort of plan out the divorce. When things are rosy and everybody's happy right at the very beginning, that's when you plan the divorce. Because once you start arguing, once you start fighting, it's too late to plan the divorce. So,
well, John, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I want to share, though, in these two specific instances, it was a communication challenge, not a contract challenge. Neither of these guys were partners via contract. We had some of that figured out.
Right.
What caused the breakup and the failure of the business was on my side to communicate poorly. Now, it takes two to tango,
That's right.
but I'm taking responsibility for it. But it was allowing a relationship to devolve. That's what happened, in not nurturing it, and that's my lesson for what really caused the failure for me.
Excellent. So if you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with Trevor Crane. He's a 6-time #1 best-selling author, the founder of Bestseller Big Business. He's also a publisher and speaker who's dedicated to helping his clients take their life and their business to the next level. Now, he works with speakers, coaches, and consultants who have the challenge of getting booked to speak, getting consistent leads, and getting high-paying clients. Trevor helps them by putting together a book and a business that's behind the book, and gives them everything that they want while redesigning their business so that they have the time, the money, and the freedom that they deserve without doing all the stuff that really sucks. So if you have any specific questions for Trevor or about the show in general, just leave them in the Facebook chat and we'll get to them during the show. So Trevor, let's move on to some happier times, like your current business. Becoming a 6-time #1 best-selling author. Can you share with us your journey of getting into what you're doing now?
John, why is it my stories always start with pain? Jeez, okay. For over 20 years, I struggled to get my first book done for a variety of reasons. And so I made it a priority finally, okay, so that's a lot of time. I don't have time right now to tell you about 20 years, but finally it became a priority. And I wanted to solve the problem about how to get a book done quickly, how to go ahead and leverage it into your business. And I knew I needed to dial in all those things. So it was a few years ago that I finally decided to figure this out. I made it a passion. And I knew that books were the most powerful part of a marketing plan if you understood how to use them. So I just made it my obsession. I actually got into a fight with an argument with my wife about it, because at one stage I said, that's it. I'm going to figure out how to do best-selling books, and I'm going to have one. You're going to have one. Our daughter's going to have one. Every one of my clients is going to have one. It is the most powerful part of your marketing plan, and we're not just going to be best-selling authors. We're going to be #1 best-selling international authors. Yep. And we got an argument, and she said, I'm thinking anyway. It wasn't the right time to bring that subject up. But I'm proud to say that my daughter, and I'd rather brag about her because she's got some cool new stuff.
Yeah.
These are two of my daughter's books. The Three Ninja Kitties is my daughter's first book, and she did all the drawings herself. And her second book is Kitty Wars. And I helped my daughter build a business behind this book. So my daughter wrote her first book, this one, when she was 7. Wow. And remember I told you that my mission, when I got I'm like, that's it, I'm doing it, you're doing it, my daughter's doing it. I wanted to come up with something she loved. Now, we had a lot of motivational, inspirational stories we could potentially have written, but my daughter told me about the Three Ninja Kitties. And I was skeptical, John. I'm like, but I've never heard about the Three Ninja Kitties. What are you talking about? Well, she said she wanted to, what her book was going to be about. So I took out my phone and put it in her hand, and she told me the story of the Three Ninja Kitties. She actually got upside down and talked to my phone and told me most of the story on that couch, upside down, telling this really rambling story.
Yeah.
We transcribed that story, had it turned into the book, and she did all the drawings for that book. And then I had to get pretty creative, John, because how the hell am I going to turn the Three Ninja Kitties story into a business? Because like you said, and you've been giving a great introduction for who I work with a lot of speakers and coaches and consultants, and I believe there's a business behind every book if you understand it. Yeah. So I had to get pretty creative. So the thing I'm most proud of right now is, in fact, my daughter's movie is coming out on Saturday.
Nice.
Kitty Wars. And the business behind this is my daughter and I are now teaching. I keep looking for props. My daughter and I are now teaching a program for kids. It's called Super Kids Books. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's a website and a coaching program where we teach people to become kids book authors. And that's part of the business behind my daughter's books.
Very cool.
And this year she has 6 more books coming out before the end of the year. Maybe 5. No, 5 more books coming out before the end of the year. 2 come out tomorrow. No, what's
Friday.
the day? 2 days,
Wednesday.
Friday. 2 come out on Friday. And all of them are used as lead magnets or bait to just get attention from and teach kids how powerful it is that they can become authors. And so I believe there's a business behind every book if you understand it. And I made it my mission and purpose to figure it out and how to turn those books into your most powerful marketing tool. And that's what I'm excited about now. And John, on the back of this is really, I'm really tricking people into to growing their business. I think for people to have an ideal quality of life, I think that they need to figure out how to have an ideal business, like the business that they want to run and have. I think it's ideal business, ideal life. So I'm being tricky. I want to help someone with what most people don't have, is they don't have a best-selling book. I want to help them build a business behind something that they love and they're passionate about so they can have more freedom. Like you're doing on this great introduction, you're saying, Trevor helps people have all this success without doing stuff that sucks. Yes, that's what I want to help them do. So I'm trying to be tricky. Let me help you get your book done or your daughter's book done or your son's book done or whatever. And then I'll figure out how to share with you all the strategies that helped me be successful in the different businesses I've had. Am I answering your question? I feel like I just take over and I start going crazy.
That's all right. If you go off too much on a tangent, I'll stop you. But
right.
It's very entertaining and very educational. So if you guys are just listening, just joining us, I'm speaking with Trevor Crane. He's a 6-time #1 best-selling author and the founder of Bestseller Big Business. He's also a publisher and speaker who is dedicated to helping his clients take their life and their business to the next level. He works with speakers, coaches, and consultants who have the challenge of getting booked for speaking gigs, getting consistent leads, and getting high-paying clients. Trevor helps them by becoming #1 best-selling authors and building a business behind them that gives them everything they want while redesigning their business so that they can have the time, the money, and the freedom that they deserve without doing all that really sucky stuff. So if you have any questions for Trevor, just leave them in the chat. Let's do some shout outs. I see that Raina's joined us. Chris Miller says, I love that. Ideal business equals ideal life. Great quote. And my mother joined us again. Hi, Mom. She's a regular on the show. And so if you guys have any questions or any comments for Trevor, just leave them in the chat and we'll try to get to them. Now, since you were talking about your daughter, I noticed that so you have 2 books coming out in Friday, and the Kitty Wars launch, movie launch on Saturday, the red carpet affair. And so you shared with us sort of your reason for her becoming a #1 bestseller. Is like everyone's going to be a #1 bestseller. That's, everyone in your family is going to be a #1 bestseller. So that sort of seemed like the reason behind it. But what was her did she really have a reason? Was it something that you just wanted for her? Did she want it for herself? So how did sort of this Kitty Wars is just something that she made up? Tell us a little bit about sort of how her project all got started. Was it you sort of pushing her down that path, or did she want to take that path on her own?
So what I think it's like a spark that turns into a fire. So as a parent, what I've done with my daughter is that if I see a spark, my job is to feed the fire. Yep. Now, I've definitely been the one that's led my daughter's campaign on books. But what I did was I found something that was intriguing to her. So we could have done it earlier with my daughter, but there wasn't anything that she was excited about or intrigued about. And as much as there are times when I said, we have to finish this movie, we have to finish this book, I have to be the disciplinarian to say, let's finish, because my daughter would rather go play Minecraft or go outside or do anything other than, be focused.
Yeah, finish the project.
But in this case, like I gave you the example, I said when I was asking her about what book she'd like to write, she told me about the Three Ninja Kitties.
So is that something that she just came up with? Is that I'm
off the cuff of her top of her head? She lives with her mom during the week, so I have split custody with my daughter, and she has 3 kitties. Actually, she only has 2 left. One of them got hit by a car, so that's pretty sad. But she said she just had this idea in her head that it was going to be, she wanted to do a story about the 3 ninja kitties, and they're based on her kitties. And so her new book actually is dedicated to her pussycat that passed away, that died recently. Okay. And she's going to be introducing her new 4th kitty in one of her upcoming books because they got a new kitten to replace the one who died. But what I did in all things with my daughter is I try to feed the fire. Now, my wife's first book actually was going to be on a subject called money parenting. And my wife is a financial planner, and she really loves working with the parents of young kids. And she thought, I'm going to help people with money parenting. So she started interviewing people around this subject, and we teach some of those principles to my daughter. Okay. Now, the book my wife ended up writing is much different than that first project. Like oftentimes when you start researching, it led her into a different target market, which is something I teach and share with my clients, because just because you start off here doesn't mean that's where you're going to end up. She did research to figure it out. But the idea of money parenting is that we've given one of the strategies we use is how we give my daughter allowance, and we've also given her the opportunity to do businesses. So all of her money goes into money jars. We learned this from T. Harv Eker and The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And so my daughter has money and it goes into these jars, and that's how she spends it. But when she had these different ideas, she said, Daddy, I want to start a cookie business. And I'm like, all right. So that was the spark. And then I fan it, right? So I feed the flame. I'm like, what do you want to call it? And my daughter's name is Phoenix. Phoenix's Cookies with Love. I'm like, excellent. So I made her a business card. And we went ahead and went into the kitchen. I'm in my big living room area here. The kitchen's right in this direction. And we made cookies. We pulled out cookie dough. We made cookies. I've got a big cookie jar that has this funny elephant that's on the top of it over here. We put those cookies in a jar. We took them around the neighborhood. And John, you asked me about my first business I had when I was 5. My daughter was about the same age. I walked her around to my neighbors' houses, and she was 4, I think, and she sold cookies to all the next door neighbors. Nice. And it was Phoenix's Cookies with Love. So and she created profit that first day. So every time I've seen a spark of something I think is powerful, I try to feed it and then give her the credit for everything. You know, it's really not about me as much as I would love to take the credit. And I put myself on the picture of me on the back of the book because I'm like, look at us. Woohoo! You know, it's me and my daughter. But really, I'm trying to do everything I can to let her succeed on her own and have it be hers. John, when she sat in this kitchen and she read her first book, she cried. She couldn't believe how good it came out. And then she stopped in the middle of it and said how proud of herself that she was. And she laughed so hard at her own jokes when she was reading her own story in the book, she couldn't breathe. So for me, that's everything. And I have to say that I've seen that child inside come alive in all of my clients that I've helped with books. Excellent. Is that they see their vision come true. And it doesn't mean that we don't look at it and say, oh, I wish it could be better. I needed to know better cover. You know, come on, you work with enough people around this subject that we all wish we'd make, should be a little better there.
Production over perfection.
We're so proud. It's just, we can be so proud of it. Look at Grant Cardone. I mean, he's sitting on a freaking jet on his new book. I mean, it is one of the best positioning tools you can possibly have. I think it's a beautiful gift to give to people to live their legacy, not leave one, live one. Live your legacy. Get your freaking book done. If you don't know how, come to me, come to John, go to Jesus, figure out how to get your story out and done, because you can leverage that into something powerful.
Exactly. So we just got a minute or two. Tell me about the movie premiere. Sort of what's the premise of the movie? It sounds like it's sort of a Star Wars theme for the Ninja Kitties. So are you like every position behind the scenes? You're the writer, the director, the cameraman, the editor, and you just get your daughter's friends to be the actresses?
So my daughter wrote she wrote the story because she loves Star Wars, John, because I wanted to do what she loved. She's like, I want the kiddies to go to Star Wars. I'm like, okay, we'll call it Kitty Wars. So I fed the flame. And after she wrote the story, she then did the first drawing for the book, which she was going to do. And she said, Daddy, I don't want to draw these pictures. She's being lazy. She's like, I want to do a movie. Can't we just do a movie? That'd be so much easier. So I was like, sure. So I'm thinking to myself, I'll chase her around the woods with my camera, with my iPhone, and we'll do a little movie. Next thing I know, I invite her whole class out she's in the 3rd grade. I invite her whole 3rd grade class out. I'm chasing them around. We have a movie script. I hire a professional film crew. We have 7 people there. We have this full-on 4-day movie shoot for this thing. I dress up as Dog Vader, Jabba the Mutt. I wear all these different costumes. Cool. And the premise of the story is these 3 ninja kitties are transported magically through the golden acorn. She wanted it to be a waterfall, but we couldn't figure out how to do that into the movie. Yeah. A golden acorn, and they meet Luke Sky Kitty, Han Soulcat. That was actually my character in the movie. The 3 ninja kitties have to save Princess Leopard, Han Soulcat, and Luke Sky Kitty from Dog Vader, Jabba the Mutt, and an army of Imperial dog poopers. And when the kids are killing people with their lightsabers because they're ninja kitties, all the adults play the big evil parts pretty much. So the adults come play Dog Vader and everything. Yeah. We sit down and eat popcorn while the kids actually do all the fighting with lightsabers. And then when the dogs die, they poop themselves because they're dog poopers. And then at the end, my daughter was actually interviewed in New York City in Times Square for International Peace Day because her movie and her book is all about love. And so the Force, I'm giving away so much of the movie, the Force is the power of love. And so in the middle of the movie, a music video breaks out and they start dancing. And at the end of the movie, when everybody comes back to life and they have the greatest party in the universe because they bring everybody together. The Doggalactic Empire and the Cat-Addict Republic are united. And I was the director of this, and it was more work, John, than I would have imagined in a million years.
Oh, I bet.
I do not recommend this. However, it was the coolest thing, and the pinnacle is that we have a red carpet event on Saturday here in North Jersey, actually in New York, and we have a theater that's going to host the film. All the kids are going to dress up. We're going to take pictures. The media's coming. Nice. We're making a big deal of it. And I get the Super Dad of the Year award is what I'm going for.
Excellent. We'll see. I'm sure we'll see lots of posts on Facebook. So, Trevor, that's all the time that we have for today. So what I'm going to ask you to do is in the comments field, if you could just leave all your contact information for us, specifically for those who want to follow up on your daughter's book and as well the video that's coming out, and just hear all about sort of the tales of what happens this weekend, because I'm actually pretty intrigued. I live across the country, but I still want to find out what happens at the premiere event. Sounds like a great time. But everyone show Trevor some love by hitting the thumbs up, the love icon, and definitely share this to your friends in your Facebook feed. And Trevor, I want to thank you personally for being on the show today, sharing with us your journey. We never really get into too much about talking about your clients, but that's okay. I really enjoyed the conversation about how you're helping your daughter, and that's just fabulous. Basically, you can take the exact same thing with what Trevor's doing with helping his daughter, and you can work that into any entrepreneur, business owner, author, expert, speaker, basically helping them build a book, build a business around the book, and live a better lifestyle, live a lifestyle that they actually want to live, something that they're happy about, something that they're passionate about. So Trevor, I want to thank you very much for being on the show. It was such a pleasure, and I look forward to catching up with you real soon.
Thank you, my friend. It's been a pleasure to be here, and I'm going to leave a link below. I have a gift to give away, or you said I'll put it in there. Yep. My program is called bestsellerbigbusiness.com, and if you go to /4 ways, bestsellerbigbusiness.com /4 ways, what I was going to share, John, are some of those strategies of my clients that they've used as case studies. I share that through that document so they can go
Excellent.
get that. I'm going to do a Facebook Live on that today as well, but they can get that there, and I'll put it in the comments for you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Trevor. On behalf of all the guests, thank you. And so everyone, just stick with me. I'll be right back in a few seconds for closing remarks. Trevor, have yourself a great day, and I'll chat with you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, thanks for joining me on today's John A. McCabe Show, where we work with entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers, get seen, get heard, get noticed, anywhere, anytime, on any device, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, if you're someone who is looking to take their business to the next level and would like to get some coaching advice, why not apply to be a guest on the show? For most entrepreneurs, we want to create our own life, create our own path, and do what we can to reach our desired outcome, which is generally freedom. Freedom to choose what we want to do, when we want to do it, and with whom we want to do it. A life that is full of options and choices, where we worry less about money and more about the quality of time that we spend with others. A great way to make that happen is to leverage other people's knowledge, time, and skills. Now, step one to reaching your freedom is to realize that you can't do it alone. Working with coaches or being involved in masterminds is a great way for entrepreneurs to move their business forward. A coach can help you shorten the time frame to get from where you are today to where you want to be, while being part of a mastermind is meant to bring entrepreneurs together, all with the goal of helping each other move their business forward. Now, the second step to create the life you envision for yourself as an entrepreneur is to implement systems into your business so you can streamline your operations, leverage systems, and free up your time to focus on your family, having fun, and the highest leverage activities in your business. You know, the activities that get you the biggest return of your time invested, the ones that really make you money. So sometimes we just don't know what systems that we actually need, or how to implement those systems, or even have the time to find out what is needed. Now, working with a coach or consultant that understands, uses, and specializes in systems that can streamline your operations can help you save time, aggravation, and make you more money. For example, having a system or strategy that allows you to leverage just 15 hours of your time into enough repurposed content to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed, anywhere, anytime, on any device is a great example of leverage. Now just imagine where you just invest 15 hours of your time, and the end result is you're a #1 best-selling author, you have a successful podcast, and you have enough content to get you seen, heard, and noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device, automatically attracting more attention, giving more value, generating more leads, which enables you to attract an abundance of paying customers. Now, this is also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. To find out more about the Authority Acceleration Blueprint, coaching program, or mastermind, then contact me via my website, johnamccabe.com, or connect with me through the show's Facebook page. Now, again, I want to thank you for joining me on the John A. McCabe Show, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show when we have another great guest on discussing their business and accelerating their authority. So have yourself an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you real soon.